If you had to take back the throne from your ghost father, what would you do? You'll need to fight magicians, demons, horrifying monsters in order to reclaim your place as king. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the Osama demon in Ranking of Kings Part 2. This prince will die trying to fight an invincible demon from hell. Boji here is the son of a dead king, a dead mother, a mean stepmother, and his stronger, younger stepbrother has just stolen his position as the new king. The son of a giant and born without any powers, deaf and mute, Boji has gone to the underworld to train with the best of the best, Lord Desper, in order to get strong enough to become the one true king. Complementing his course, his best friend Kage gets news that his kingdom has just been taken over by unknown forces, and his stepmother and her trusted followers have tried to escape the kingdom, and now he must go back to save them. Meanwhile, in the boss kingdom, everything has gone horribly wrong. Boji's stepmother, Queen Healing, after talking to her generals, have decided to try and take back the kingdom. Entering the gate, she discovers who is behind the attack, their castle's trusty advisor, this magic mirror, who they discover is Lady Miranjo, a witch that King Boss was close to, and who helped him form this kingdom years ago, thinking she died long ago. They ask what she wants, but she reveals she's been plotting this kingdom's destruction for years and wants to end this country. Queen Healing then realizes that they've just fallen into a trap. Miranjo's hellhounds show up and prepare to attack her, but her guard, Drusi, tries to defend her. Using his overpowering strength, he pulls it off, but quickly gets exhausted, and they all realize that Miranjo is trying to tire them out. She reveals she recently freed criminals from the underworld, and she unleashes them onto Queen Healing and her men. Her men focus on defending her from the criminals, while Drusi yells for her to run away before it's too late. Trying to escape, she runs into this unknown criminal, the man that will soon kill her son, Oken. Queen Healing's other guard, Anne, knocks Oken down and helps her escape, but she suddenly gets her neck cut, making Queen Healing realize that this terrifying enemy is unstoppable. Thinking fast, she blinds him with a magic spell, making him run away in fear. Healing then heals Anne, how redundant, drinking more magic potion to enhance her powers, but she runs out of energy just as more hellhounds surround her, and that's when this man saves her. It's her old bodyguard, Apis. Apis tells her to run, betraying Miranjo momentarily. Understanding that he served Queen Healing for many years, Miranjo amazingly quickly forgives him for going against her, but warns him not to do it again. Drusi, knocked out, suddenly wakes up and sees his queen in trouble. Making him angry and full of rage, he rushes to save her, killing everything in his path like an absolute monster. Taking massive hits, he starts to quickly lose more blood, and Queen Healing can do nothing but watch in fear. Not being able to handle seeing his former partners get hurt, Apis asks Miranjo why she is doing all of this, and she says she wants to free Boss from his family responsibilities and go back to how their life was before he became king. She reveals to him that she recently transferred the dead king's soul into Boji's younger stepbrother, Prince Daida, and this way these two will be able to soon reunite when this is all over and go back to the old days. She then orders Apis to take her back inside and leave Queen Healing's fate up to her evil minions. Okay, these people were way too excited to get brutally murdered. If I was them, in order to beat Miranjo, I would have relied on my knowledge of royal family inbreeding, FBI profiling techniques, and that scene in Season 1, Episode 1 of Game of Thrones. Let me explain. King of Giants, King Boss, made a deal with the demon to make him the strongest giant ever and help create an awesome kingdom, but in exchange for his soul, and Miranjo betrayed the demon and put Boss's soul after he died into his youngest child, Boji's younger brother, Daida. But Miranjo's really in love with Boss and now wants to kill the rest of his family, so they could be together forever, and Boss is like, what? And now here we are. But at this point, Queen Healing coming back to take her castle, she acted way too emotional. She thinks her son Boji was murdered in the underworld by one of her own men, but he wasn't, and recently found out Miranjo brought her dead husband back to life, and she knows the soul of her Daida is not dead, which means her stress levels must be out the wazoo. And if I was a babe queen, I would have first chilled out and not acted like an idiot and realized that we come as a royal family first, which means we should have family connections. This means just like in Game of Thrones, in this land of royals, everyone should have known everyone. And if that's the case, it makes no sense why we just didn't go up to a neighboring kingdom and asked for help, instead of trying to fight a witch and an army of underworld bad guys. Miranjo clearly will do anything that she likes to live how she did in the past with King Boss, and it's clearly not this reality. This means that her mindset likely could come from a mindset that is filled with anxiety and underlying depression, which if we think about it, this chick has been living in a mirror plotting her evil plans for years at this point. It's amazing she hasn't gone insane or has she? This means that her psycho motives are coming from a point of desperation. It means we could have predicted that she would do whatever it takes to achieve her goal, even if it means destroying everyone and everything around her. Basically, any type of strategic planning would have been way better than Queen Healing's run and gun approach. Gosh, it was so stupid. Meanwhile, Oaken reaches the kingdom's nearby town and begins slaughtering innocent civilians, easily destroying everything in his path, and just then, Boji and his men come back from the underworld and witness the horror of their people. Captain here informs Boji that his trainer has told him about the man they've just run into, known as one of the most horrifying criminals from the underworld. Boji must not fight Oaken no matter what. He tells him that Desper will arrive soon, but until then he will deal with Oaken, and sends Boji to go save his mother instead. Back in the castle, Drusi carries Miranjo when they get betrayed by one of the criminals Miranjo rescued. This mustache man knocks Apis out and steals Miranjo, saying he doesn't give a shit about this kingdom and wants to use her magic to make him rich. Back in the kingdom, Drusi is about to die trying to save Queen Healing, and out of options, she calls out for her husband, King Boss, to help. Captured by Queen Healing's men and hidden from Miranjo till they figure shit out. Beeben here watches over King Boss, and that's when he hears his wife screams, and uses his super strength to open his cage, but stops when Beeben here gets in his way. Not wanting to harm his former servant, he doesn't leave his cell. Meanwhile, Beeben's pet, Mitsumata, comes to Queen Healing's rescue, not knowing what this monster is. He tells her that Boji saved him when he was a baby snake, and now he belongs to one of her soldiers, Lord Beeben. And just then, another one of Miranjo's underworld prisoners shows up and attacks Mitsumata. But that's when Kage and Prince Boji finally show up. Boji uses his new training skills and stops the green monster, shocked to see her son still alive, and now not a pathetic weakling. The two reunite after many episodes apart, and is impressed with Boji's strength. The green prisoner stops fighting and introduces himself as Jigam, and says that he respects Boji's great strength. The rest of the devil hellhounds also stop fighting and join Boji's side, and Kage advises him to send these demon dogs and prisoners back to the underworld, and tells him that he remembers seeing a secret entrance under this castle that leads to the underworld. This is how Miranjo snuck her bad guys into this kingdom, shocking Queen Healing as she hears this. Mitsumata warns Boji that they need to hurry, because his old babysitter, Damas, that also tried to kill him, was ordered by Queen Boss to destroy the underworld entrance. Concerned that Damas has switched sides, Queen Healing asks her son if he's truly ready to face the man that tried to kill him earlier. Boji gets nervous, but Kage convinces him that he can do it. Drusi says that they will stay here to protect Queen Healing in the meantime, so Boji, Kage, and the rest of the creatures from the underworld set off. Back underneath the castle, Damas and Hokaru reach the gate to the underworld and prepare to destroy it, but they hear someone approaching from the other side. Damas orders inexperienced Hokaru to hide, and he prepares for combat. A huge army enters, and they introduce themselves as the Order of the Underworld. They claim that King Desha has sent them to return the prisoners that escaped the underworld and punish the one who stole them in the first place. Damas has no idea what they're talking about, but he tries to stop them anyways. He climbs up these steps to force these soldiers to attack him in smaller groups, and the two sides engage in combat. Okay, we're outgunned right now. The Order is a powerful group of knights from the underworld, and means that what Damas did actually is a smart move, as he was outnumbered more than we can count. However, if I was him, I would have taken it one step further. It's noted that this is the only entrance into the castle, and the only way out is going through this staircase. This means that we can use this advantage against this mini army by creating a bottleneck combat strategy. I would first head further up the staircase, and from here, the underworld soldiers would be forced to come at me higher up on the staircase, and this would help shift to my advantage, since due to their armor, troop size, and the surface area of the staircase, this would essentially force them to restrict their movement and reduce the importance of their sheer army size, meaning I could take fewer soldiers on, almost one or two at a time, instead of all of them at once. The higher up on the stairs would allow me to just even push or kick most of the soldiers off of the platform and let gravity take care of the rest. Also, due to the fact that they are wearing armor, it means their fall to the ground will be more brutal. You all know the term terminal velocity. It's the speed at which how fast something falls, and it will only be reached after someone falls for around 12 seconds. This means that each soldier that we pushed off of the stairs from a height of 60 feet would actually not reach terminal velocity, which means we can adjust how brutal we want their deaths to be. We just made a beautiful moment of interactive game of Tetris death. Amazing. Damas tries to reason with them, but they don't listen. And just then, one of the troops nearby comes up behind Hokaru and is about to kill him. When King Desha arrives, he tells Hokaru and Damas that this whole situation in the human world is messed up as hell. Boss Kingdom is on the brink of collapse, and he has to come stop the one person responsible for this mess, and the one who stole his prisoners, Miranjo. He warns them that she has also stolen the most dangerous criminal from the underworld, King Desha and Desper's brother, Oken. And that's when Jigang lands in front of everyone, holding Prince Boji and Kage. Damas and Hokaru see Boji alive and are shocked but happy. Damas tells Boji that he's sorry he betrayed him and Hokaru had nothing to do with it. But Boji starts having a panic attack seeing Damas. Trying to show his loyalty to Boji, he tries to, well, kick a bucket, but realizes that his body's too strong to get hurt. King Desha then try to capture their escaped criminal Jigang, and Desha incapacitates him with a lightning bolt. He gives Boji the rundown of what his father might be up to, and warns him that the king boss will likely help Miranjo in her evil plans since they were very close, and they both have committed great sins together. He tries to take Jigang back to the underworld jail, but Boji stops him and says the two have become good friends. Getting pissed off, Desha prepares to fight, but Boji puts down his weapon. Confused, he calls up his brother and the man that trained Boji, Desper. He tries to ask his brother what the hell's Boji's problem is, but Desper switches topics and tells him that he needs to stop his plans to invade Boss Kingdom immediately. Since King Boss is a top-ranking king, it means that he is the strongest of rulers, even stronger than King Desha. The only one who can take Boss out is his son, Prince Boji, and Desper convinces Desha to let Boji take King Boss and Miranjo out when the time comes. And then after, they'll also be able to take out the demon who Miranjo's soul belongs to, the true puppet master behind all of this. Convinced of Desper's more sneaky and less risky plan to return everything back to normal, him and his troops leave back to the underworld to wait it out. Jigang then tells Boji that he must return as well, but thanks Boji for his friendship. Damas then begs Boji for forgiveness and tells him that he was just following Miranjo's orders, but Boji runs away crying. Kage gets mad and tells them that they'll have to prove themselves to Boji when the time comes, and he runs off to cheer Boji up. Damas apologizes to Hokaru for getting him into this mess, but Hokaru cheers Damas up and says they should first burn the underworld entrance, and then they get their act together so they can make it up to Prince Boji. Heading back out, Boji runs into Apis, passed out. He wakes up and Kage tells him that there are demons everywhere. Once loyal to Boji's family, he tells them that they should leave because Lady Miranjo can't be stopped, and she will soon kill Queen Healing and take over this kingdom. Nervous? He then reveals to Boji and Kage what everyone else knows, and tells them the King Boss is alive and has possessed his younger brother's body, Daida. Shocking Boji, he realizes what King Desha was whispering about back under the castle. Apis suspects that Boji's father is trying to fulfill Miranjo's dream because he's in debt to Miranjo. Apis says he has no choice but to fight Prince Boji, and that's when he sees his strong aura. Shocked that he is now much stronger than he was before, Kage then informs him that Boji was trained by Desper and is now much stronger than him. Proud of him, Apis decides he can't try and fight him and tells Boji to try and stop Miranjo and take his rightful place on the throne. As Boji and Kage bid him farewell, he passes out again from his injuries. On the way to save the day, Kage gives Boji the game plan. Defeat the rest of the prisoners who escaped the underworld, and then deal with King Boss and Miranjo. Sounds simple. And then they run into Oken running past them. Freaking them out, they decide to follow him. Elsewhere, the rest of the underworld prisoners take a break to enjoy their freedom. When Oken finally shows back up, Boji and Kage arrive nearby, not realizing that Miranjo is the one in the mirror. Kage instructs Boji to stop because something doesn't feel right. They watch Oken easily kill this one prisoner to save Miranjo, forcing Mustache Guy to try and escape. Boji spots him and decides to try and stop him. Okay, Boji just acted really stupid. Boji made the critical mistake of going balls to the wall without thinking. Oken here is one of the three brothers, King Desher, Desper, and Oken. Brother number 1 inherited all of his sick father's powers. Brother number 2 only got a little, and Oken didn't get any. But later in life, he developed powers of immortality, which caused him to lose his mind. He's pure evil and loves committing acts of violence, and loves watching people die a slow death. If I was Boji, understanding the dynamics within the enemy group was way more important than rushing in. Boji just acted like how most humans do, jumping into a solution, thinking he was making progress by acting fast, when in reality, he was just trying to avoid being uncomfortable in this uncertain situation by rushing to come up with a half-assed plan. In fact, Apis himself was dumb as hell for thinking Boji could have taken Miranjo by himself. After chasing him, he stops up on this wall. Mustache Guy tries to throw poison in his face, but nothing happens, and Kage reveals to him that even though Boji doesn't have his father's powers, all giants are resistant to all poison, making Boji stronger than he looks. Boji then knocks him out and ties him up. Just as Oken reaches them, he tries to attack Boji, but he easily dodges his attacks. Miranjo, watching from the distance, is impressed impressed at how much stronger Boji has gotten, but tells Boji that he can't defeat Oaken. Boji attacks and tries to find his weak point, but he quickly realizes that this evil criminal doesn't have any. Oaken laughs like a psycho, and Miranjo tells Boji that he will die if he continues. Boji tries his second secret move, but nothing happens, and he starts to panic. Miranjo then does something strange and tells Kage that they should run. Kage thanks her and goes to tell Boji, not knowing why she just helped Boji. She questions what's going on, not realizing that she's turning good. Boji jumps onto this wall for safety, but Oaken outsmarts him by attempting to kill Mustache Man near him, forcing Boji to come down and face him up close, where Boji will be more vulnerable. Miranjo tells Kage that Oaken is immortal and can't die. Suspicious, Kage asks her how she knows this, and she reveals to them what everybody else already knows. She is the famous Miranjo, the one who betrayed Boji's kingdom and got his mother killed. Elsewhere, Mitsumata and the gang drop Queen Healing off at this safe house, but run into Apis, passed out. Waking him up, he tells them that Miranjo has just been taken away by underworld prisoners. Ashamed for betraying Queen Healing, he tells her that he just wanted to ease Miranjo's pain, since her situation is much more complicated than it looks. Are you freaking kidding me? He tells Drusi here to go save Miranjo, and Queen Healing surprisingly forgives Apis and heals his injuries, just as Domas and Hokaru come from beneath the castle, saying they finally destroyed the underworld entrance. Queen Healing is shocked to see them after what they tried to do to Boji, blows up on them, sincerely apologizing. She thinks they have more important things to worry about, and forgives these two instead. Thankfully, Domas informs her that Boji just saved this kingdom earlier from King Desha's invasion, and saved the whole kingdom. She asks where Boji is, but no one knows. Hearing this, Apis informs them that Boji went in that direction, and Domas and Hokaru go to get him. Wanting to pay Queen Healing back, Apis also joins. She tries to join, but Drusi offers for him to go instead, telling her that she should be kept safe, while her bodyguard here watches over her. Back in the prison cell, King Boss tells Biban what's really going on, telling him that Miranjo is the one behind this. She's been undercover living in their family's mirror for years. He mentions how important he is to her. She is the one that helped him make a deal with the devil to screw over his first child, Boji, in order to gain extra powers and become the strongest king in the world. He also reveals Miranjo's backstory, how they met, and how her mother was also killed by her own neighbors and whatever. But inside this body, trapped within his own mind, the real Prince Daido listens in to what his father is saying and hears Miranjo's sad backstory, and finally realizes the mirror he grew up with. Miranjo has no one in her life that understands her except for King Boss, and this is the reason behind her plans and whatever. Biban tells King Boss that he can sense that Boji will be in trouble soon and will go to save him, but warns King Boss that if he runs into Miranjo, he will try to kill her. Back outside, finding out Miranjo is the one in the mirror, Kage tries to kill her, while Boji finally realizes that he can't beat Oaken, and that's when a lightning bolt comes crashing down, announcing the arrival of Boji's trainer, Desper, along with Captain. Showing up to save Boji, Desper says he's proud of him and quickly calls his brother King Desha to shoot another lightning bolt at Oaken, but Oaken thinks fast and uses his sword to direct the electricity through his body and away from his heart, shocking everybody at his four-dimensional chess move, and he starts to overcome his weakness of lightning. Okay, well, they just messed up their biggest move. Oaken just redirected King Desha's lightning strike. His armor is made of silver, the single most conductive metal, meaning it attracts electricity, and lightning can pass through it easily. This made him an easy target, even if Desha wasn't trying to aim at him. But Oaken figured out his obvious game plan from the first strike and easily deflected it by making his sword act as conductor. Lightning being an actual weakness of Oaken means that he would likely have been able to defend himself from King Desha's strikes, even if he wasn't warned by the first strike moments earlier. This means trying to stop him by lightning, while a good plan, was done in the wrong way. If I was them, I would have either let Boji get slain by Oaken and not rushed in when we did, and instead would have used the element of surprise to strike Oaken when he least expected it. Or, if we wanted to let Boji live, because I mean he is a cute little boy, I would have first gathered a nearby water source in a bucket. I would have added a shit ton of salt inside of it. And not only is water generally a good conductor, but high conductivity through water is usually determined by its saline conditions. From here, I would have radioed in King Desha in a coordinated assault, where we would have splashed Oaken with a bucket full of salted water, at the same time as King Desha shot down another bolt of lightning on him. This way, Oaken would have been unable to redirect the lightning, and would have felt the full force of his brother's strike. Captain tries to charge at Oaken, but easily gets stabbed, leaving Desper all alone. Thinking fast, he uses his analytical mind and intuition to sense Oaken's strike, dodging it and bringing Oaken in close to him. He tells Oaken that he'll never abandon him and thinks he can turn him good good, but no. Now stabbed, he falls down while Kage screams his brains out. Boji makes a last desperate move, knocking Oken's mask off. He then realizes that Desper is still alive. Seeing them confused by Oken's tactics, Moranjo tells them that Oken's special move is avoiding the vitals of his victims in order to watch them die a slow death. Regenerating back to full strength, Oken then knocks Boji back and gets ready to kill him. Kage runs to save him by swallowing him completely, but he easily rips through Kage's body, critically injuring him, forcing him, Desper, and Captain to watch as Oken pierces Boji's leg and then his chest. With everybody defeated and now on the brink of death, Oken finally sits down to rest, counting down the minutes until everyone dies. Moranjo then has a sudden change of heart and mind controls this dead person nearby. Going up to Desper, she holds him, Kage, and Boji and transports them into this strange world. Boji and Desper don't know where they are, but see someone in the distance who looks like Kage, but it's his mother. Desper then sees Kage on the other side of the river and realizes they are on the entrance of the afterlife. Seeing Kage's mother calling out to him, he realizes that if Kage crosses this river, he will never come back to life. Him and Boji try calling out to him, but find out they're actually inside Kage's mind and can't interfere with his thoughts. Reaching close to his mother, Kage's boat then gets stopped by Moranjo, confusing Desper and Boji on what's going on since she is supposed to be evil. Moranjo tells Kage that if he crosses this river, he will never come back to life. This makes Kage remember his best friend, Boji, and realizes that he must survive to take care of him. He then shouts to his mother that he will see her one day and turns around. Reaching the shore, Moranjo warns Kage that even if he returns back to life, he won't be able to save anyone, but Kage tells her she's wrong and happily runs off to reunite with Boji in real life, returning from the brink of death. Meanwhile, inside King Boss's mind, the real Daida sits with this girl that he met while being trapped inside of his own body. It's really weird. Figuring out that this is the consciousness of Moranjo, he tries to understand what she went through and finally helps her spirit turn good and sees her disappear in front of him. He thinks that Moranjo might still have a shot at turning good. Outside the courtyard, Mitsumata finally reaches Boji. Seeing him injured, he tries to attack Oken, but easily gets his ass kicked. As Oken begins feasting on his flesh, about to die, he gets saved by Biben finally showing up and slices Oken's body in half. Right as the rest of Boji's squad shows up, Oken then heals up quick, and Biben warns everybody that Oken can only be defeated by being tied up and locked away. Biben says he knows somebody who has the powers that can heal Boji. Damas then tries fighting Oken first, but gets stopped by Oken's secret move. Confused, Biben warns him that Oken has the power to throw objects at people really fast, and tells everyone that his sword is almost impossible to destroy. Seeing the craziness, they finally believe him, and Damas regrets trying to fight him one-on-one. Using teamwork, they all attack him, taking turns together, side attacks, tag teams, and it's amazing. Being trained by his brother Desper years ago, Oken then switches to full psycho mode and turns into the true sword king of the underworld. He knocks everybody out in seconds. With no choice but to try again, the group somehow recovers, dizzy, tired, and low on energy, and raise their weapons once more. Back in the afterlife, Boji and Desper see Moranjo run into her own dead mother and Boji's mother across the river. Queen Sheena says that she doesn't hate Moranjo anymore for what she did to her, but tells her that her evil plans have left her all alone in the real world. Moranjo's mother senses something strange in her, and then realizes that Moranjo will never be able to join her in the afterlife. Unable to lie, she confesses that she hired an army years ago to overthrow and kill Boji's mother, but the people that she hired betrayed her and killed her too. Desperate to survive with King Boss, she did something horrible and made a deal with a demon to transfer her soul into a nearby mirror, but this cost her her soul, and when she dies, the demon will eat her soul for good. Okay, Moranjo clearly did all of this because a demon screwed her over, I get it, but in reality, she still could have used the demon to save herself and still keep her soul. Let me explain. If we look at history, there are a few examples of people worming their way out of deals made with the devil, like with the story of the man named Stingy Jack. Jack was at a bar but didn't have any money. He called the devil to come have a drink with him, but then asked if the devil could change himself into a coin under the condition that the devil could claim Jack's soul when he dies. Jack agreed and the devil turned into a coin, but Jack later then stole the devil coin back and put him in his pocket, where he also kept a silver cross. This made the devil unable to escape until Jack finally let him, under the condition that his soul would not be taken when he died. And this allowed Jack to get the devil to pay for his drink for free. And while yes, it is a silly story, it points out a key factor that if Moranjo managed to outsmart the demon through deception, and the devil being, well, the master of lies, he would have respected getting a taste of his own medicine and would have left her alone. Even if Moranjo could not have predicted her getting betrayed, if I was her, I would have made the same deal with the demon without actually making a deal. If we look at various religious texts that tells us what demons really are, they are deceivers by nature and they lie. They also know that if they ever revealed their true selves to us and what they actually wanted, then no one would ever make a deal with them. Also in the good old book, since the big man took the sins out of the world and defeated the devil way back, devils and demons legally know that they're not actually allowed to take or possess ever again. This means that any deal made with them is only conducted through falsehood and deception, selling us a deal when they aren't even capable of selling anything in the first place. Because of this, no deal with anything demonic is actually 100% binding. We likely would have been able to outsmart the demon, medieval courtroom drama type style, by proving our case, using religious text to basically prove to him that the only thing he could claim was nothing because his deal isn't worth anything. Miranjo's mother is shocked and questions how long she can keep being evil because this is causing everybody she loves to leave her. Realizing how alone she is, she gets mad and creates a magical storm around her, telling these two that she has nothing anymore except for her friend King Boss, and they'll be together and happy one day again. And Boji realizes how much of a loner she really is. Desper shows Boji a preview of Miranjo's painful past memories. He tells them that while he does feel bad for her, nobody can save her, and he asks if Boji has what it takes to kill her when the time comes. Back in the real world, the boys try to keep fighting Oken just as arrows stab him. Damas realizes Hokaru helped and wasn't useless for once and is proud of him, but that's when he sees him get stabbed. Because he really is useless, Miranjo then returns into her mirror, and she now feels like something within her has changed. With everyone defeated, Oken approaches Miranjo and asks what his next order is, but she gets confused and starts crying. Desper wakes up, returned from the brink of death. Snapping out of confusion, he thinks Miranjo is the one who saved him. He quickly tells Kage that he needs to get the captain nearby to heal him, or they'll soon die. But Oken senses the captain healing himself and stabs him again, spotting Kage nearby, and he gets ready to kill him. And that's when King Boss finally shows up, out from hiding. Everybody is confused whose side he is on. He knocks out Boji, Kage, and everyone else, approaching Desper. He thanks him for training Boji and making him a worthy king. He then shockingly heals everybody, using half of all his energy, confusing everybody more since he just beat the shit out of them. And Biba then realizes that King Boss must be using Daida's powers that he inherited from his mother Queen healing. Seeing Boji fully healed, Kage rushes over to his best friend, and him, Boji, and Desper all get happy for a minute. And Boji tries to face Oken again, but King Boss stops him, and Desper tells him that only King Boss can fight him. Not knowing his true intentions, Desper thinks about taking both of these fighters out because Boss realizes that he used half of his energy. Okay, now while this fight may seem impossible, our daddy right now has shown that he has officially gone insane. He tried to kill us, then felt sorry and says that he likes us, but also wants Miranjo to be happy, but she wants to kill us. And also really, what? It's very confusing. From the current circumstances, it's clear that Pops is really well whipped, and also displayed parenting traits. If we think about it, there's no rush to solve our daddy problem. Daida's already trapped, he's not going anywhere. Oken is trapped, Miranjo is chill, and all of our allies are healed up and back to normal, so why rush at this point? It would be useless. Remember that Boss's soul is tied to Miranjo. By pretending to let Boss rule, we could have easily plotted with our teammates to destroy Miranjo at any point later. These guys really just, they rush through for no reason. He quickly cautions Boji that they don't know who's really on their side, and they should stand back while they watch this epic battle unfold. Oken rushes King Boss, but his sword breaks on his skin. Watching this, Desper suspects that King Boss's soul is inside of his son's, Daida's body, and not his giant's body. His durability must be concentrated into a smaller form, and then he watches the king destroy Oken's face. Meanwhile, Kage tells Boji that if his father loses the battle, they're all dead, but if he wins, it will be up to Boji to take out his father. As they watch, Oken keeps regenerating, while Boss keeps destroying him. Realizing he needs a new plan, Boss destroys Oken one more time, collecting his body parts, but this time crushes him into a tiny ball and takes out this huge rock, and he inserts all of Oken's body parts into this hole, trapping him from expanding, sealing him inside, and winning the battle. Knowing the time has finally arrived, Boji gets ready to fight his father, but Kage tells him to maybe forget what he said because Boss seems way more powerful than he thought. He walks over to Miranjo, and she confesses that she went crazy trying to do everything to help him reach his goal and almost ruined his real family life. But Boss then realizes that Miranjo gave up her dreams to help him, and she ended up with nothing. Feeling bad, he says he'll end their suffering and go out together if he loses this final battle. He then challenges Boji and his men to join his side or die, but Boji's men all side with him and get ready to put their lives on the line for him, and Boji quickly stops them and challenges his father head on. Boss attacks him with his massive strength, but Boji uses his nimble size and power to avoid each hit. Using his special strength to find the weak point of his father's sword, he breathes and slowly breaks down its strength, and then he finally sees the weak point, the final one. He charges in one more time upon impact, but dodges Boss's weapon, hitting its weak point and scaling it, running up his father's head, and he takes him out once and for all, destroying his signature weapon and winning the battle, shocking everybody. Boss then goes to apologize to Miranjo and prepares to end both of their suffering, but Boji knocks him out. Meanwhile, in the underground, King Desha gets a visit from this man. He asks King Desha if he wants to move off to number 1 from number 2, since King Boss is about to die. And if he accepts, he'll be able to go to the king's treasure room. And if they go there, he might find something in there that might help him save Oaken from immortality. But Desha says he doesn't need to, because his brother Desper has a crazy plan to save Oaken. Back on Earth, Boji tells Boss that he wants Daida to come back and apologize to Boji. Daida and Miranjo apologize to Boji for being selfish and not letting her live her dream. Boji then grants his wish, destroys the mirror, and sets Boss and Miranjo's soul free, and that's when the demon shows up. Seeing their souls try to go to heaven, the demon jumps up to grab them, but the captain slows him down, forcing him to lose his speed. Miranjo's soul then thinks fast and shoves Boss's soul out of the way, saving him, sacrificing herself for him yet again. Meanwhile, the real Daida is shown a flashback of his father and Miranjo's time together, and sees how she gave up her peaceful life to help Boss make a deal with the devil in order to become the strongest man in the world. How that demon stole Boji's true powers before he was born in order to make that happen. It makes him sad for his little big brother. He then hears his father's voice telling him to save Miranjo, and he finally wakes up in his original body for the first time since this video. Boji then signals that his men need to stop the demon, and Desper calls on his brother to strike him with a lightning bolt, just as the captain cuts off his head. Desper quickly runs to pick it up and says that he would only give it back if the demon grants them a wish, but Daida then steals Desper's wish by yelling for him to bring Miranjo back to life, making her appear right in front of him, and making Desper really sad. And then the demon leaves. Feeling bad, he then states that he will make it up to them, and Desper then realizes that his bro is immortal, so they can always try to save him later. Hashtag no worries. Feeling better, he asks Daida to reward him with a crap ton of cash. Daida announces that he will marry Miranjo and thanks everybody for their service. He offers his crown back to Boji, shocking him, and then Queen Healing finally shows up and discovers that her little boy is getting married to this strange girl, which is whoa, and she also finds out that it's Miranjo, which makes her really mad for hot sec, but she forgives him and ends up being really happy for her kids because cool. And then showing emotions for the first time ever, everybody's happy, it's great, and they announce that Boji is the new king, and Kage then sneaks off from the castle, thinking that Boji doesn't have any use for him anymore, especially since he is a, well, no good thief. Elsewhere, Boji quickly finds out that Kage is missing. Sad without his best friend, his mother turns over a new leaf and tells him that he doesn't have to be king if he doesn't want to, and to go after what truly makes him happy. Boji then happily offers the kingdom back to his brother and leaves to find Kage. Finding him, they bromance, and he tells Kage that they will both go off into the sunset and make their own kingdom together, cause cool, cause they're gonna do things just like how their daddy did it. Make their own kingdom. Meanwhile, back in the underground, King Desha finally gets word that his brother's plan to save Oaken have failed, pissing him off. With no options left to help his brother Oaken, he agrees to become promoted as the number 1 ranked king in the world, and he gets led down into the magical treasury. But what do you guys think about the video? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a thumbs up down below. And as always, don't forget to check out our How to Be playlist.